Hello everybody, it's April 18th, 2022. We're going to go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin, but first, as always, I want to look at what I said on Friday and see how it compares to the action that we've seen. So I said at the time, I believe the most likely scenario is that we hadn't yet completed this first wave down, and that we needed to see another move down to finish it off. Somewhere in the 36.5 to 37.5 area was my primary expectation. And then from there, I'm going to expect a large bounce back into the low 40Ks for the larger degree second wave before we see a large decline in the third wave down to the low 30s. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we did see a new low since that video that I did on Friday. We came down here earlier today down to about 38.5. So we didn't quite reach that 37.5 to 36.5 region that would have been ideal for this to finish off wave one. And so there is a slight issue with that. It just makes things a little bit muddier, of course. But it is pretty typical for Bitcoin to make things muddy. It doesn't like making things easy. So I think the most reasonable expectation at this point is still that we have completed the orange 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right there as a first wave down. Even though we did not hit this ideal region, I think that's most reasonable. We do have a pretty clear 5 waves down. It's unfortunate it didn't hit that area because that would build confidence in that count. The alternative, which means I can't take it off yet, is that this was in fact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down in red. And then what we saw was basically an A, B, and we're getting a higher C now for the second wave. That's pretty much the only alternative I see here because we've got ABC up, we've got ABC down, and I'll expect that we're going to make an ABC up of some sort there. If that is correct, if this red count is correct and we've got ABC forming like this, it's likely we only get to the bottom of this red box before pushing down further. If instead the orange count is correct and this is the first wave here, we should then see an ABC, which pushes us further into this red box. So doesn't really change anything, to be perfectly honest. Doesn't really change anything in the longer term. Once again, both of those point to much further down still to come, with the next move likely being in the low 30Ks, then a bounce, and then finally finishing us off potentially below 30K. In the fifth wave down. So that is still what I'm looking at. This red box now I've modified where that was based on this going further down. We drew a fib from here and you can see this red box is the 382 up to the 618. Well, actually the 0.65, that's the golden pocket there. So between the 382 and 618 basically is the ideal place for a second wave to go. So at this point in time, I am still waiting for further action to develop, but I do plan on shorting somewhere in this area. I may do something similar as I did here, which was essentially wait until it gets up into that area and then shows rejection and then short it, rather than doing limit shorts, because we've also seen Bitcoin do much higher second waves than our typical. So we could certainly see it come up here, above 47 or above 46K or so, even to 47K, and that still can lead us down to those low 30s, which is why I don't think I'm going to put limit orders in this area. I'm just going to kind of wait and watch the price action and see how it develops. Ideally, like I said, we get a pretty clear ABC, which would allow me to then narrow down the target for that short. But basically, I do expect somewhere in this region to be our resistance zone, most likely, anywhere between 41.9 and 44.5. but realistically anything below 48.2, this high that we struck back here, anything below that still most likely leads us down lower. The only way that this goes bullish in the short term is if we break that 48.2K high, then we can still reach this red box here, which is the ideal region for this to be a third wave and a diagonal, where basically this is A, B, and C up in a third wave in a diagonal situation. I don't view that as highly likely, but it's what I'll be looking for if we break 48.2. I'm certainly not longing for that possibility. I don't like diagonals. They're incredibly low probability structures. So I would much rather just stay in cash and wait for a better opportunity to present. So anyway, that's the alternate scenarios, that we make our way up there and then we bounce around within that diagonal and potentially just end this bull market up in the 60 to 70K region before a big crash. This bearish scenario that I have as primary, where we're making a second wave right now, is actually more bullish in the long run because it erases all of the junk action we've seen off of this low. If we can get down here and break below 32.8K, we will erase all that action, and then the bulls have a chance, not a guarantee, but a chance to actually form something that looks bullish in a 5-wave move, which we can then buy a nice big second wave pullback for a long before we actually head up to that 100 to 130 area that we all want to see. All right, I think that pretty much sums it up. So we'll see what the rest of the week brings, see if this red box holds as resistance, and we'll go from there. But I am, at this point in time, expecting much lower levels still, and that remains the case as long as we're below 48.2. All right, I think that's all I've got for now. So go ahead and click the subscribe button, please. Hit the like button on the video. Both of those things help me out. And make sure that you get updated when I do future videos. And then take a look at the long-term suggested video here. That's the long-term on Bitcoin, what I'm looking at for that 100 to 130K region. All right, guys, have a good night.